So welcome, everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining this OSMED Open Monthly Briefing. This is our February 2026 session, and it's the very first time that we are running in this format. It's the first one of the year as well. So I'm really excited about all of this and all of the opportunities that are going to come with this. So today's briefing is part of kind of a reoccurring public forum where we are going to be sharing kind of what the human spaceflight analog community inside OSMED is working on and how people can sort of get involved. So we're really, really glad you're here. Usually these calls are we anticipate these lasting up to 1 hour. This one might be a little bit shorter just because it is our first one, but we will have plenty of time for Q&A. I have enabled the Q&A for you guys to be able to submit your questions. So if you do have questions, please put them there. And then I will go in and answer those at the end of the call. Okay, so who are we? The Analog Working Group is a group that operates under OSMED as sort of this collaborative cross-organizational effort. So basically that means that this group kind of brings together people from so many different disciplines, backgrounds, interests, and experience levels with analog missions or research, kind of research being conducted to advance human spaceflight, sort of in this effort to support this shared structure across an ecosystem. So our value really comes from coordination, synthesizing this information, helping the community kind of align where that alignment is needed. So our mission within this specific group, it really centers on supporting safe and responsible coordinated development and efforts of human spaceflight analogs, and we use that language very intentionally. So we really want to be supporting the safety of missions and supporting collaboration across analog missions. So analog missions, they differ widely in different purposes. Some missions are research focused, some are training focused, some are more on the engagement side or outreach focus. And that diversity is huge. It's a huge strength. And our mission is really to help ensure that the safety standards and alignment and coordination scale appropriately across these different domains. All right, so when we talk about our role, it really comes down to alignment and collaboration. We help create these shared reference points so that people aren't really reinventing the wheel or working in isolation. We really want to bring together everybody, and we want to make sure that our efforts are making progress. And there's a lot of that, I think, in a lot of industries where everybody's kind of doing their own thing, but we really want to come together and we want to make sure that we're not duplicating efforts because that really slows down the progress of what we can achieve together. So this also means being very clear about our boundaries. So we don't own any missions. We don't really tell organizations how to run their programs. We don't certify or enforce anything, but what we do is support kind of that connective tissue that allows this ecosystem to mature responsibly. And that's something that a lot of people have talked about in this industry for a while, is sort of bringing people together, maturing responsibly, and professionalizing this industry. So why are we here today? The goal here is visibility. So making sure that people know what OSMED-related analog efforts are underway within this specific group. It's also about context, so understanding how these different initiatives sort of fit together. And then it's also about participation and accessibility for opportunities, creating these clear, appropriate pathways for people who really want to contribute to this field. So right now, we have three main focus areas within the Analog Working Group. The first one is safety initiatives and risk-informed practices. So looking at how safety is approached across different mission types. The second is standards alignment and implementation context. So meaning how existing standards are interpreted, and then also how are they applied across analog missions that have these different purposes. And then the third one is coordination. So helping people, organizations, and efforts stay connected. So I'm about to introduce you to three of the main projects that our groups have kind of began working on. And at the end of this presentation, there are going to be a couple of QR codes. So if either of these projects seem like something that speaks to you or sort of aligns with something that you're really interested in, then I want to encourage you to definitely scan the QR code, ask questions, help us with some of the projects, and don't be shy to get involved. It's a lot of fun, and it's really rewarding to contribute to something that really is still developing. Okay, so the first project that we're working on is Standards and Accreditation Roadmap. And I use the word standards kind of loosely. Actually, I probably actually should have changed this because the way that we really see it is best practices right now. Standardization is really great, but ultimately what we're looking at is developing best practices for how analog missions, facilities, and researchers and participants apply in these sort of settings. So we're right now building on existing analog practices. We're not really looking to develop new standards or modify existing ones. Instead, this effort is more focused on alignment, so helping clarify how those standards apply across different mission purposes and scopes. So within that, building best practices and building out a sort of accreditation roadmap, which is, kind of far out there in the distant future. But it's something that we're looking to help sort of, again, professionalize the industry and give people, an opportunity to contribute to meaningful science and gain specific training or experience or do outreach and educational opportunities in a little bit more of a structured way. And so this accreditation roadmap component is really about structure and progression. We've kind of consistently heard questions like, what does readiness look like over time? Or how do you evaluate alignment in a way that makes sense for different mission types? And so this project sort of supports the development of these staged accreditation pathways and evaluation criteria, which is huge. It's something that we also strongly need to develop in order to get to a point where an accreditation is even tangible. So right now, there are some opportunities to get involved here. Supporting standards alignment by kind of helping interpret how existing standards apply across different mission purposes. Right now, there is a publication out there called the International Guidelines and Standards for Space Analogs. And so that is something that is already existing, that is currently being adopted by various habitats throughout the world. And so we really want to support that initiative and kind of help interpret how these existing standards apply across different mission purposes. And then helping structure accreditation stages and evaluation criteria. So that's really huge. It's basically a roadmap, a lot of project management, looking at, evaluation criteria for various purposes of different missions. Some things that I'll probably talk a little bit more about in the next project that I'm going to introduce you guys to. We kind of have like this baseline, this non-negotiable of what these best practices look like, regardless of mission purpose. So it doesn't really matter if you're doing a mission for fun or if you're doing it for research. There has to be some level of safety involved there. And there are some best practices in other industries that we can kind of pull that from. So looking at evaluation criteria for what those different purposes look like. And then also providing perspective from specific mission types to ensure that the evaluation logic is practical and appropriate. So right now, we're looking for people that can really help support these efforts. A few of these are listed here on this slide for standards integration, kind of looking at coordinating refinement and alignment of standards. Someone being lead of kind of accreditation, so helping structure the accreditation stages. I put professions, I think it's supposed to say progressions, and then also evaluation criteria. And then kind of just project support contributors. So this is maybe someone who doesn't want like a leadership role, but people who want to support this initiative. Project support contributors can assist where needed across this effort. So the second project that we have going on right now is a white paper series. So this project exists because we have seen repeated confusion around what analog missions are and what they're designed to do. So we started developing a foundational white paper that establishes shared definitions, mission purposes, and baseline safety considerations. That's kind of a little bit of what I was talking about in the previous project. So these non-negotiable, what are those baseline safety considerations regardless of purpose? So from there, we're developing purpose-specific papers focused on research and learning and engagement. So right now, our foundational white paper is pretty much towards the end of completion. It's in kind of a draft stage right now, but we're looking for people who can help expand on that. So we really want to expand by writing papers on these specific purposes. And these distinctions really matter because the expectations, the safety considerations, and the standards alignment look really, really different depending on why an analog exists, either the mission or the facility itself. So however, there are, like I mentioned, those non-negotiables that should exist regardless of purpose. So here we are creating a shared reference framework that people across this ecosystem can kind of point to. This is really helpful for people who are pretty knowledgeable in analog missions and are looking to do a mission or conduct research or optimize opportunities based on whatever aligns best with them. But it's also really, really helpful to help educate I guess you could say, people outside of our community who just really want to learn more about what we're about. And they may see some alignment within analog missions that they could use to benefit something they're working on. So opportunities to get involved, again, here, serving as a lead for one of the purpose areas. So whether it's research, learning, or engagement, like I mentioned, we're looking to do a white paper on each of these different purpose areas. So finding someone who has some skill sets and wanting to support science and testing or training and education or recreation and outreach, helping put together a team of people to help write those white papers. And then also supporting like drafting, review, and synthesizing some of this content, helping to ensure that there's clarity, consistency, and alignment across the series. So that's going to be really important, especially with our foundational white paper, making sure that there's consistencies within that. Because again, this series is really to educate the public. So if you have designed or studied or operated or participated in analog missions, especially with a really clear purpose focus, your perspective is super, super valuable here. And it could really benefit for the outcome of this project that we're working on. Okay, so the third project that we are working on, I think, is equally exciting. This is looking at the history of analog missions, and it was kind of talked about in one of our last internal calls. We just kind of started this initiative, and we really don't have any clear leads or anything like that. But it is a project that I have heard floated across the ecosystem about how it would be really cool to have something like this for many, many different reasons. And right now, if you were to look up the historical record of analog missions, you're really not going to find anything, which is really unfortunate because I think there's a lot of missed opportunities to learn lessons here and how we can support the future of human spaceflight and research and testing and training. So before we kind of had this shared language around mission purpose, and even still now, there's really not any shared language just because very little has been published in terms of what shared language actually is. We don't have a governing body or regulatory framework or anything like that, similar to aviation does. Finding that shared language and that shared mental model is really important. And having a historical record of analog missions is something that we believe that could really support that effort. So before we had all of this shared language, many analog missions operate under a subjective definition of what their mission purpose is. And so having this history is really important just to learn more. Understanding how analog missions evolved helps us contextualize kind of where we are today and better understand why certain gaps sort of exist. It's also just really interesting to have this archived historical data of analog missions to kind of watch it grow and evolve over a period of time. So we are wanting to build a repository of analog missions to date. One thing that we do have to kind of determine and figure out is what does the criteria look like for analog missions? It's a pretty loose definition. There's virtual analog missions. There's lab experiments that contribute to human spaceflight. There are bed rest studies. There's habitats that operate in environments that are similar to space or moon or Mars. So identifying what those criteria look like is something that has to be done as well before we can actually start documenting this historical record of analog missions. So someone or like a team of people helping kind of define inclusion and classification criteria for historical missions is going to be something that's really important. Supporting the collection, organization, and even the validation of historical analog data, contributing institutional knowledge or even documentation from past missions is going to be important as well. So if you've been involved in analog missions over the years or have access to any kind of historical records or relationships, firsthand experience, this is a really meaningful way to contribute to this project specifically. And I do understand that this is quite an ambitious goal. And there's lots of nuances that need to kind of be sorted out and figured out. But I am pretty positive that we can get to that point one day, especially with all of the bright minds I know that are out there and within OSMED. So that's something that I'm really looking forward to hopefully seeing it come to fruition. So I have just a couple more slides here where I'm going to show you how you guys can get involved, and then I will jump to the Q&A and see if I can answer some of these questions for you guys. So there are going to be two ways I'm going to show you how you can get involved. The first one is contributing to projects. So the project. So if any of the projects resonated with you, there are plenty of opportunities to get involved. This QR code is going to take you to a contributor interest form. You do not, you do have to be a member of OSMED in order to contribute to these projects, which means that you will need to log in using your OSMED email address to complete the form. We did that just because these projects are internal to OSMED, but I will show you an opportunity to get involved if you are not a member of OSMED here in just a second. So all you need to do is scan the QR, review the available project roles, and then complete the form. And then we'll review that and reach out to you within the coming days to help kind of get some of these projects underway and get you guys the team that you need to support these projects. With that being said, we also want to open the opportunity to have guest speakers. So these sessions in the future, we hope to be able to have guest speakers to help share their expertise, their experience. We would love to get researchers in here, astronauts, analog astronauts, anyone who, we can kind of relate that experience back to the evolution of human spaceflight through analogs would be fantastic. These briefings are kind of meant to reflect a really wide range of perspectives. So if you have experience or insight or work that you'd like to share with the community, we welcome guest speakers, and you do not have to be a member of OSMED to be a guest speaker. So this QR code will take you to an interest form. Just submit that, we'll review it. And then hopefully we can start getting guest speakers for these monthly briefings to kind of educate and inform, to provide some context to more of what we are all about. And one thing I do want to say is that being a guest speaker is not an opportunity for promotion. It's really about sharing context, lessons, and perspectives that may help the broader analog community think more clearly about kind of where we're headed or educate in different areas of expertise. Did finish up pretty early. I'm looking at the poll right now. So we have, I think, one person that is new to the analog world. We have 14 that has a little bit of knowledge if they want to learn more, and another few that practically run them in their sleep. So I will go to
Emily.
Yeah.
The QR code requires access approval.
Okay. For within OSMED, like if you have your OSMED,
it just says, I just see that the QR code is not working. So maybe make this, so it's specific to OSMED members? Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. Well, for the to be a contributor on a project, you have to be a member of OSMED. So you will have to log in using your OSMED email address. But to be a guest speaker, it shouldn't require that.
Let me test it real quick for you.
Okay. And then if not, what we can do is we can send out, Michael, I'm sure there's a way to like send out an email to all the participants or everybody who joined this call. Okay. Yeah. So we can also send out the links if we're not able to get those QR codes fixed right away.
Okay. Yep. The speaker works for just a regular email account.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah. So that's great. And then for contributing to projects, you make sure that you log in using your OSMED email address. And if you aren't sure about your OSMED email address, then I would say, Michael, where can they go if they don't have their OSMED email address?
You can send us an email at info@osmed.org, or you could reach out to me on the Slack, or ask in the general help channel in the Slack, in the members Slack.
Okay, perfect. Thanks. Okay, so it looks like, so the first question we have, the white paper series seems great. How would this differ from current guidelines? What would make experts to utilize the paper instead of just using current guidelines? So right now, the only sort of guidelines that I'm aware of are the international guidelines and standards for space analogs. The white paper is kind of in support of that, and vice versa. So the idea is to get the information out there, and then from there, we build on the accreditation framework. So having experts kind of utilize the papers instead of just using like current guidelines. The current guidelines are pretty loose, and they're really just suggestions. And so the white paper would really help shape that shared mental model of definitions. If that makes sense. Where are the white papers going to go published? They will be published by OSMED as official OSMED publications. Okay, and then what experience and skills are you looking for in a research lead for white papers? Do candidates need specific experience in analog missions, or would a strong background in human factors be sufficient? That's really kind of, I think, up to the individual, but we do also want to make sure that they do have an understanding of analog missions. They don't have to be an analog astronaut. They don't have to have experience in analog missions. The foundational white paper that we are working on will really help support that. And in terms of being the research lead, or even the leads for the other two white papers, that is something that we would meet collectively as a group to kind of work through that and talk through it. It's not going to be something where we're just like, hey, go write a paper on, the research component of analog missions. So we would work together on that. But if you guys are pretty clear with your experience and things like that for the roles in that interest form, it'll really help us be able to identify roles that might best align with different opportunities. But if you're looking to be a research lead, yes, please. We do need someone who can help lead writing that white paper. You're not necessarily doing research per se. You are just putting together a paper of what it means to do research, meaningful research within the context of supporting the future of human spaceflight. Okay, in terms of these projects, specifically the white paper series, is there opportunity to publish these? It seems exciting to be involved and further spread the word of OSMED. Yes, again, publishing them in OSMED is what we are planning to do as of right now. US-based analogs or international, China, Russia. I'm assuming this is referring to the historical record. We want all analogs across the world. If that's not what you're referencing, then please submit a new question so that we can clarify. But I'm pretty sure you're asking about the historical record. And yes, we are looking to create a comprehensive list of all analog missions across the world. Okay, QR code. I think we got that. QR code. QR code to projects application. Yes, I can do that. Okay. Okay, yeah, again, just make sure that you try to log in with your OSMED email address. In that way, you should be able to submit the form. If people are still having issues with that, I'll look into it after the call, and we'll send the links out, and hopefully it'll work that way as well. Has there been thought in having a third-party independent party as part of eval for accreditation, including mix of people in other industries too? I think I'm going to answer this the way that I think maybe you're asking, but it sounds like you're asking for having a third party as part of the evaluation team for providing accreditation. That is something that has been discussed a little bit, not in terms of solving the problem or the challenge that comes with it, but in terms of knowing that there are different avenues that will need to be taken. I think at this point in the accreditation roadmap, we're just not there yet. We really have to kind of set out the evaluation criteria, which bringing in people from other industries is really important for that as well. So that is something that, whoever's on this team will end up needing to do is, bringing in people from different industries and looking at other evaluation criteria for various environments. In terms of the publication, you mentioned that it will be published as OSMED. Great that it gets published. I'm curious, do the names of those who contribute get added as authorship, or will it come out? Yes. So those who contribute meaningful insights into the paper in terms of, writing content and things like that will get authorship, I believe. I will just need to verify that because I am not the authority decision maker in that. But from my understanding, anybody who contributes in the white paper does get authorship for that. It comes out as an OSMED publication, but the authorship would be, the authors that contributed would be, have authorship. Would they be published in a journal? I don't have a 100% clear answer on that. I'm pretty sure that the white papers would just be published in OSMED. If anybody, Michael, do you have any insight on that?
We have not brought that to the table yet. So I believe
Okay.
that would be, I believe it's a great question, and we should
Yeah.
bring that to our executive committee.
Absolutely. Okay, awesome. Yeah, so for right now, published within OSMED. As far as the journal is concerned, something to bring to the committee for sure. Is there a deadline to apply for the projects? There is no deadline. The sooner we get more people into this, the sooner we can start the projects or continue the projects. It's just one. It just depends on how many people we get in there. So if we only have one or two people, we're going to probably still be looking for more people. But I think at this point, we're probably going to keep those opportunities open until we just maybe get to a point where we're like, okay, we got too many people or we have enough for this specific project. The historical record, I think, is something that we can consistently have more people bring into as a contributor. For the white papers, it gets a little tricky. If you're about halfway through a white paper or even kind of towards the end of writing a white paper and then you have someone new come in, we've experienced this firsthand with our foundational paper, then it can start to, scope creep becomes real and you start to get too many people putting in different perspectives. So with the white paper specifically, there is a point where we do have to kind of say, okay, we can't bring any more people into this project. So until we get to that point, the projects will be open. Okay. Also, as a new member, I still need access to the QR. Okay. I believe we've addressed that. Does OSMED have its own journal? OSMED does not have its own journal, but there are a series of white paper publications. And again, I think that's something that has been talked about, but no actual decisions have been made or efforts have been made towards that at this point.
And you can find those white papers on the OSMED website. And let me just pull that up under education and research products.
Great. Thank you, Michael. Okay, how can new analogs get involved in OSMED, especially in guidance to comply with safety standards? Yeah, I mean, Linda, if you are a part of OSMED already, I'm happy to chat with you offline about that. And also, if you're not a member of OSMED, I'm also happy to chat with you about that. But that's something that we can kind of talk through. I think within OSMED right now, OSMED is not providing, safety recommendations or, criteria or anything like that at this point. But there are a few of us, myself included, that do have experience with safety protocols and things like that specifically for analog missions. So I'm happy to chat with you. If you're a member of OSMED, just reach out to me on the Slack. If not, I can put my email here in the chat, I believe, or Michael. I don't know if I have access to the chat. I should. I'll put my email there, and then you can reach out to me as well.
Yeah, I can open the chat to be restricted, and you can put it in there.
Okay, thanks.
So it is now open for restricted, so you can throw your email up in there.
Okay. Okay. The next question, is there any citizenship requirements to serve as a research lead for white papers? No, absolutely not. Anyone and everyone from all over the world, please support. I just conducted a safety research project with IIS2 team for parabolic flight analogs. Would that be something OSMED would be interested in supporting to publication, or are you just looking for writers? I'm not sure if I quite understand the question. It sounds like you're asking if OSMED would be interested in publishing the paper. I think that's outside my scope of authority.
I can put our vice president of relations, Anna Shipman. I can put her email address in the chat for you. And you can reach out and send her an email, and she's happy to discuss that.
Also, that sounds very, very interesting. I would love to read that. And I think it would make a really great experience for people who supported that paper to support with the research, the science and testing research white paper. So if you or anybody from your team, I think that would be a really great experience. Okay. You might have already conducted your survey, but this might help. Okay, yes. So I don't know if you guys can all see these, but there's been some links that Kai has shared for various support references, resources. All of those will be very helpful when compiling information for the historical data. Oh, someone is able to access the Google form. Awesome. Okay, I am curious if that was the OSMED internal form or if it was the other one, but I'd like to know if that worked. Okay, so to clarify, the OSMED publications, they are just OSMED, as in they are not PubMed indexed. I believe they might be indexed. Is that right, Michael? Like they have a DOI?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Someone asked to clarify the OSMED publications. They are just OSMED, as in they are not PubMed indexed.
I will have to ask, and we can address that next time, I think, or you can reach out to Emily's email with that question, and we'll get back to you. Thank you for the question.
Okay. Does serving as a research lead count as an officer role in OSMED's governance structure, such that an early careerist member wouldn't be eligible to hold it, or could an early careerist serve as? No, it would not. So right now, the analog working group is not really a committee. There is really no, it wouldn't be a part of OSMED's governance structure. It would essentially be just being the lead of a project that is going on within OSMED. Could OSMED collaborate with AAC's journal for a publication source for this working group? Potentially. Yeah, I think the topic of publication has come up a few times, which I think is fantastic. So it sounds like something that's really interested and also very, very needed. So we could definitely bring that up within the committee as well. Do you plan to disseminate information compiled for developing white papers beyond the OSMED community? Yes, absolutely. And that's the purpose of the white papers. Again, they're publicly accessible to anyone and everyone. They're published on the website openly. You don't have to be an OSMED member to be able to read those. And we would want to also put them everywhere. So LinkedIn, socials, and things like that. We would definitely want to share those widely. So when I looked at the application form, it seems like the project support contributor role is listed separately rather than under each specific project option. Yes. Okay. So there is a question that asks which area you're looking to support before it even gets into those specific roles. So that's really helpful specifically for the project support contributor. So look at, make sure you select the areas that you're interested in contributing to. If it's only one, that's fine. If it's more than one, put all of those. And then if you're looking to be a project support contributor, we can put you kind of in any of them or where we need the most support or whichever project is ready to kind of move forward. And the other part of your question, would I randomly be assigned to one of these three projects later? It wouldn't be random. We would just kind of talk to you about it and see which one aligns best with you. Okay, I think that is all of the questions. One thing I didn't mention in the presentation is we are looking for someone to also help support these monthly briefings. This person would help kind of facilitate these calls. They would help coordinate any guest speakers that we might have, and like update these slides if we need some updates to any of those. But project leads would brief their project. They would brief the project updates, or they would assign someone to do that. And it would be really helpful to be able to have someone that would help be able to facilitate these monthly calls. So that's also a role that you can select within the form. If you're looking to have more of a public presence, then this would definitely be a great role for you. Okay, I think if there are not any more questions, then we can kind of close it up. Again, my email address is out there. We will send out a follow-up email with the links to both of the forms that we sent out. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to message me, reach out to the OSMED team, and we can hopefully get you sent to the person that aligns with your question.
There is one more question.
Did I miss it?
Just came in.
Yes. Okay. Will this project eventually evolve into something more medical bay related or remain associated principally with safety and procedures? There are definitely areas where I could see this going into a medical arena. We definitely have the team and the support within OSMED to do something like that. Right now, this is really foundational. And I think the medical operations could fall into one of those white papers as well. It's a matter of getting the team together and figuring out where does that best fit. It goes into the territory of best practices. So working with international guidelines and standards for space analogs and supporting that initiative as well, collaborating with them and figuring out, what does the standardization and best practices look like for that. So that's probably not the best, the most clearest answer for you. I apologize. But that is where we're at right now. So, okay. I think that is it. Yes, absolutely. We can talk more offline for sure. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. And hopefully we will see you guys all next month. Again, submit forms. We could use all the help. We have lots of great ideas, but not enough people to execute them. So it's just a matter of finding the right team for that. So see you guys in a month, and we'll chat then.